You have a periscope or something peering up?
All right, here we go. Sports Hounds are live. A2D Radio. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer. Brad's dog's in the mix. Frank's producing. As always, we're brought to you by Ambuck Services, as well as Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy. He's our doctor. Make him yours too. 3 convenient locations. No appointment necessary. Visit specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We have a poll question. We got the draft going on. Draft is next week, kind of creeping up.
Was it next Thursday?
It's the 25th, so maybe more than a week. I think it's the 25th. 23rd, maybe?
So what's today?
Today's the 13th.
13th. So it's the 25th. It's next a week from this Thursday.
So we got
10 days.
Or two.
The countdown is on.
It seems like Roger Goodell is going to be in his house making the picks, much like we're doing here remotely on A2D Radio, like many others, the house party and Zoom. Had some Zoom chats yesterday. We had the A2D poker room open. Hit up.
I saw that. I got invited today.
I won. I actually won yesterday.
Nice.
I won. Yeah, some nice coin.
Good.
Except for the fact that I only have one job right now, and the job's closed.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting for my unemployment, so hopefully I'll get that soon.
Unemployment, the Trump check, taxes. It's gonna be okay. ATD Radio is always here. Get you through. We're for the fan. We're by the fan. We're here for you to get you through this dark times. Absolutely miserable Monday up here in Bucks County. I don't know how it was down there in Atlantic County, New Jersey for you, Brad, but it was.
Oh my God!
It was raining.
The wind. Did you see what happened in Cape May?
No.
That hotel, the Congress Hotel, the whole roof
did it fall over.
The whole roof blew off. It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, they had like 10-foot waves because I saw somebody snuck on the boardwalk today and posted pictures.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It was tempting, but I wasn't going up there.
That is not CDC federal guidelines. Those are not safe social distancing practices.
Yeah, well, put it this way: it's not safe. It's not safe if the police are going to give you a big ticket. So it's not.
No, but I mean, it was just a not nice day. Kind of a morbid Monday. Tavares Jackson dies in a car crash in South.
Horrible.
36 years old. I'm not going to make it. He was no Tom Brady, but I mean, he started for some playoff teams. He was around the league a lot. He was starting his coaching career. So that's certainly sad.
It is. And the situation with the kid in Edmonton, Colby Cave
everyone's worried about getting the coronavirus, and we got
some poor kid. He has a
car accident. Colby Cave gets a brain bleed at 25 years old. Played for the Edmonton Oilers. Was he any like? He was prospect.
He was an up and coming young player. I mean, this was his rookie season. So I mean, they just brought him up, and he was playing pretty well. It's a shame,
And then you have Karl Anthony Towns, the NBA community. Karl Anthony Towns' mom dies of the coronavirus, complications from the coronavirus. So we have that. But we're going to focus on the NFL draft. We have some fun baseball topics later in the show, and we're going to get it rolling. We're on Facebook. We're on Periscope. We're on Instagram. We are. You can stream us, download us, you podcast junkies out there, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. Everywhere. Any place we can be. iHeartRadio, we're on now. Any place you can download, stream, view, video or audio, A2D Radio is there. The takeover is real. Join the debate. We're the best in the business. Hashtag it no notes. Let's get to the poll because it is draft season. The rumor mill is flying around. We'll start with the Eagles. We'll touch on your Giants, and we'll kind of work our way out throughout the league. The Eagles should draft a wide receiver at pick 21. Brad, I'll kick it to you. Do you agree or disagree with the poll?
I totally agree. They definitely should. At this point, I mean, unless the top 4 guys are all gone, which I doubt is going to happen because most of the teams that are up in the draft are either looking for a quarterback or trying to beef up their lines. And there's also a couple of exceptional cornerbacks in this draft too. So I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see a receiver picked until maybe 9 or 10. So there should be plenty of nice receivers available for the Eagles. I mean, there's four real good ones. So I mean, they're bound to get one of them. I mean, if the guy that they're looking for is not there, they may draft the best player available. I mean, that's a possibility. But I would draft. If I'm the Eagles, that's what I'm going after. That's
how many receivers? How many receivers do you think are going to go before pick 21?
2, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, the Jets for sure.
It would seem, but they have Joe Douglas running the room now.
Yeah, but you know what? They as far as the free agency market, they went and they picked up a bunch of offensive linemen.
Yeah, well, they got George Fant from Seattle to play right tackle.
Yeah, they picked up a couple more guys. I can't remember all of them, but they went and they tried to clean up their offensive line because that was a big problem. But I mean, really, they've got to go out and get themselves some receivers. They let Robbie Anderson go. I mean, I understand it because he wanted a lot of money, and they didn't think that he was worth what he was asking for, and he probably wasn't. I mean, he's a good number 2, but he's not a number 1 wideout, and he basically got number 1 wideout money. I believe he signed with Carolina, did he not?
Yes, Panthers.
I think they definitely
with Rule and his college coach.
Yeah, they definitely overpaid for him. So, I mean, not sure I quite understand.
I mean, if he catches 7 touchdowns next year, do they really overpay for him?
Oh no, if he catches that,
he got
touchdowns, yes, but I don't see that happening with him. I mean, he's a good receiver, but I mean, if most teams put their top cornerbacks on him, he's not gonna. I don't see how that's going to happen. As I said, he's better off as a number 2.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but
yeah, I mean,
I don't want to spend too much time on Carolina because they're a team of tremendous transition right now. They did pay Christian McCaffrey today.
Yes, they did. What, 4 years, $64 million?
4 years, $64 million. He's now the highest paid running back, I believe, in league history.
That would be true. Yes.
So he surpasses Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm sure that your boy Saquon Barkley will surpass him in the
if he stays healthy. Yeah, I would.
Near future.
You would think so. I mean, I'll tell you what. The Giants should be highly considering spending a lot of money on a big time player because right now they don't have to pay Barkley. They don't have to pay Danny Jones. You're in a position where 2 of your top players on offense are making.
That's why I keep saying that. I keep saying that Yannick makes a whole bunch of sense for the Giants.
At the right price, yes, I would agree.
Just go get him.
It's going to take a lot of
at least Facebook GMs. They're enamored with. Oh, it's a good value. It's a good value.
Oh listen, if they got him, it would definitely help them. I mean, I think that could be the difference between them competing for a division title and being an also-ran. I definitely believe that can definitely put them very close to the top. I mean, no question.
I mean, I seem to be more. I mean, I hate that I'm optimistic about any New York team, but I mean, it sounds like I'm more optimistic about your Giants heading into this season than you are.
Well, I'm just concerned about the schedule. I mean,
Brad, you don't know. You don't know about.
No, I'm just. You can only base it on last year's numbers, but I mean, it doesn't bode well that they have to play the NFC West and.
Well, yeah, the whole division. I mean, the NFC East, they got a break last year.
No, I know that.
They played,
but they still had it.
The NFC North is not a very good division, in my opinion, and AFC East was awful.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. But the NFC East was pretty bad last year too. The problem is again they have to play that. I think they have to play the AFC. which division?
It's the North.
The one with the Ravens. Yeah, the one with the Ravens and
The North are Steelers, Ravens.
Yeah, and then the Browns and the
Bengals, Browns.
Bengals. So those are 2 games that they could certainly win. They could certainly win 2 games against the Redskins. And they could beat the Bears too. So I mean, there's 5 games. No game is going to be a gimme for that team. But I mean, they're going to have to raise their level of play.
There's no gimme games for the Eagles either.
No, they have the same kind of gimme schedule as the Giants do. But the difference is they get to play the Giants and the Redskins. But they still basically have to play the same teams, other than the fact that I guess the Eagles have to play New Orleans and Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's I mean, and the Giants played the Bears in Tampa, and Tampa was a tough.
Tampa's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them. Won't be easy.
All right, so getting back to the poll, the Eagles should draft a receiver at 21. I 1,000% agree. The fact that a veteran wide receiver hasn't been brought in to kind of take the pressure off you at 21 to pick a receiver, because teams who draft strictly for need,
that's how you get burnt in the draft, by the way.
Yeah, they tend to miss more than the team that just sit there.
You're better off just taking the best player that's available.
But I do think there's other needs on this team besides receiver, but receiver is by far the biggest need on this football team.
I saw somebody asked about, would the Giants take a receiver with the first pick? Absolutely not.
I don't think that would be smart.
The receivers and running backs are not an issue for the Giants right now. They have pretty good receivers, and they got pretty good they're in pretty good shape with the running back position. It's Jeff Lohmeyer, and
Jeff Lohmeyer.
It's not an asinine thought, but
it's not an asinine thought because you got to score points in today's NFL. But
it's not.
I think the Giants are.
The Giants just have more important needs than that, and if
the Giants,
if they trade
have any problem scoring points.
No, if they trade down a lot, maybe that could happen. But I mean, if the Giants are going to trade down, as I said, there's certain scenarios that I could see them trading down. If Washington and the Lions both draft, both keep their draft picks, they could either make a trade, trade the pick or trade down, and be able to get more bodies in. And I think the Giants really are in desperate need of a pass rushing defensive player, and they need a big time offensive lineman. They need 2 of those types of players. That's kind of where they're at right now. If they trade down, but it depends what's going on. If the Redskins trade out from number 2, and the Lions trade out from number 3, and the quarterback hungry teams move up in the draft, then you could see the Giants go get Anderson, end up getting Young, and that would make a big difference for them. I mean, that would be the ideal situation. But
Chase Young is the Giants' ideal situation.
Yeah, no, he would be. He would be. I just think that if at this point, what everybody seems to be saying is that Burrow's going to be the first pick, and then everybody seems to be touting Young as the second pick for the Redskins, and Okudah as the third pick for the Lions. So that leaves the Giants at 4, and the Giants don't need a quarterback, so it really would behoove them to make a trade with one of the quarterback hungry teams, because when you're dealing with a team that needs a quarterback, you can really fleece them if you've got a heady, patient, smart general manager. I don't know about the jury is still out with Gettleman, but this is an opportunity for them if that situation becomes reality.
I mean, I get Gettleman. I mean, he had a gaffe with Soldier, but I mean, hasn't he? He's done pretty well.
He's done well with the draft. Through the draft, he's really.
That's how you build monsters, though. These teams that build through free agencies, like the Eagles have done in the past, and these other teams have done in the past, it doesn't work. They fall flat on their face.
It's not about building with free agency. It's about getting the right players in free agency, and he just hasn't been able to do that. I like the trade. I mean, the trade right now with Odell Beckham for for the 3 players last year, that trade seems to be working out okay. I mean, Lawrence has been pretty good. Peppers has been okay. I think they've done okay with that particular trade. Plus, they opened up.
I loved Jabril Peppers when he came out in the draft. He played at Michigan. I thought he was going to be a stud, and he's okay. But I mean,
he was having a very good season for the Giants last year. He got off to a bad start. The first 4 games, he struggled, but then he really picked it up.
Well, I think your coaching.
The coaching was not very good last year. Let's be honest, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see. I mean, they got different coaches now. They're a much younger, more dynamic type of coaching staff. I do expect them to be better. On paper, they seem to be better. They seem to be, fat. They seem to be younger and faster. They needed a couple of veterans. They've got a very young team, especially defensively. That's why I think
players. You get a couple impact players. I think the Giants, because you got 7 playoff teams in the NFC now. So
yeah, no, I know the whole thing with the Giants, and everybody's talking about Yannick in Giant Land. A lot of things have to happen for that to happen. Their number 4 pick can't be Chase Young. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is that the Lions and number 2 would be that the Redskins and the Lions.
I mean, why not? I mean, Yannick and Chase Young, that sounds pretty good to me.
No. But Yannick can't come if they have Yannick and Chase Young. That's not happening. But if Chase Young is drafted by the Redskins, at 4, the Giants could theoretically, and I've seen this rumor in Big Blue View and some other websites that they're considering switching. If the Giants get Yannick, Jacksonville would move up to 4 and grab a quarterback. Why
on earth would they draft a quarterback?
Who, Jacksonville?
Yeah.
What, you think you sold on Gardner Minshew?
They seem to be sold on Gardner Minshew.
Are they? But are they really? That's the thing. They can say all they want, but actions speak louder than words. What's going to happen when they actually, when they get called to the podium? Well, they won't be this year, but you know what I mean.
What a disaster the Jaguars are. What a disaster.
Sure.
Championship in 2017.
Yeah, and then they end up nobody wants
championship. They're right there.
Nobody wants to play there. Everybody gets they traded a defensive lineman last year. They traded Jalen Ramsey last year. I mean, it's just strange.
They gave away Calais Campbell. Malik Jackson didn't really work out there. He's now on the Eagles. He was hurt last year. Blake Bortles was terrible. Leonard Fournette just fell off a cliff.
I mean, the Jaguars could be a team that take Yannick out of the picture, that the Giants could trade down and get their 2 first picks. I mean, they have the Rams pick and their own pick this year, so that wouldn't be terrible either.
Well, you just traded Nick Foles to the Bears because you want to go with Gardner, and then you're going to move up, trade a great player in Yannick, and trade up and get a quarterback.
Well, quarterback is the most important.
I get it, but why did you do that with Nick Foles? You gave him $88 million for 0 wins.
I don't know what happened with Nick Foles in Jacksonville.
We got hurt, and Gardner Minshew showed that he had a
bit. Yeah, but the second time around, once he got on film, he sort of got exposed. So I mean, I just don't know with him.
He's okay. He runs around. He makes plays.
They don't have a heck of a lot of offensive pieces on that team, which doesn't help either.
But whatever.
They screwed up.
They suck. Your boy Coughlin screwed him up.
No, he actually built the team, but then the owner, for whatever reason, wouldn't pay any of these guys, and that's so he had.
But it's a hard cap. It's a cap. It's a capped league. I don't understand.
Well, they didn't want to pay Ramsey. Obviously, Yannick got disgusted because I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I mean, if I was on that team and I was a good player, and I see
they traded somebody who was really good. I think their defensive end. I can't remember who it was, but
they traded Calais Campbell to the Ravens. They let Malik Jackson go.
That was the 3rd round pick, right? The one to the Ravens?
5 for him?
No, they got a 3 for him, I thought.
I don't think it was that high.
No, okay. Well, they still traded their starting defensive end for him for a draft pick. And I mean, yeah, you're trading guys that are really good players. Malik Jackson, he's another one that they let go. I mean, it's listen. The thing is, though, Gardner Minshew, he's not good. I could see that happening. I could see the whole.
You know who he reminds me of when I watch him play? Just his style of play. I'm not saying he's as good. It's Tony Romo. The way he can run around and create and be athletic, he reminds me of Romo.
Yeah, but he's not really that accurate, though.
I know. It's a loose comparison.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't like player comps.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of
like him. I'll play ball with him for the sake of having a conversation. But
yeah,
my mind with Gardner Minshew
if Jacksonville could move up and they could draft Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa or whatever the hell you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
If they could move up and they can get one of those guys by getting the Giants pick, and the Giants get their 2 first-round picks, and I'm not even talking about Yannick, Rob. I'm just talking about trading. If the Giants are going to trade down, Jacksonville could be a team that they could do it with because they got some picks. Also, Miami as well. Those would be
all right. Let me get some comments. They will go. Gongo's 951. They will go 3-13 this year. Take Trevor Lawrence number 1 next year and be good to go.
Who are we talking about? The Giants?
I would assume that's a comment about the Jaguars.
Yeah, I would think so because
I don't think the Giants are going to go 3-13.
I don't think they're going to be that bad.
I mean, they might not be as good as I think they're going to be, but
Danny Jones, I think, is pretty good. I don't think the quarterback position is going to be a problem next year. I could see other positions being a problem. Their offensive line, their pass rush. Their secondary, I could see those being a problem, but I can't see Daniel Jones being the problem.
Raymond Rivera, Brad's rocking the Doug Peterson haircut. You do have a little bit of a Doug Peterson haircut going. You just need a visor. All you need is a visor, and you need the cheating. You need the cheaters.
Half my head stands. Half my hair stands on end if I don't put something on it to knock it down. So I got.
Well, we got no. I mean, I don't know what you do for. I mean, I'm wild and crazy. I mean, I got nothing. I got no barber.
Yeah, well, I haven't gotten the.
And I don't want to do it myself because I think it'll look stupid. I'll just wait it out and let it grow.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I got the Corona beard going. I'm committed. I'm not.
Yeah, I shave twice.
Shaving. I'm not shaving or getting.
Till I'm back to work.
This pandemic is over.
Yeah, till I'm back to work 2 times a week. That's all I really.
Eagles could possibly put a package together and move up. That's from Michael D'Andrea.
I agree with that. They could.
I mean, I'm against moving up. I'm against moving up for the Eagles because I don't think they're one player away from contending with the Green Bays, the Seattles, the Niners of the world. I think they need a couple of things to go right in this draft for me to be sold that they can legitimately win a Super Bowl next year. So I'm not sold right now. And I think they've had a decent offseason, but I'm just not sold on it right now.
I think they've done a pretty good job addressing the defense.
I like the secondary.
Yeah, they've definitely done.
I love Slay. I might get his jersey. Slay might be my next jersey.
Well, he's a good player. I mean, he should definitely be an upgrade over what they've had the last few years.
But I mean, you need a corner on the other side of Slay that can hold his own, because whoever is playing opposite of Slay is going to get peppered with targets because Slay's going to follow around. Theoretically, if I were coaching the defense, even though Schwartz doesn't really like to do it this way, I would
follow the top receiver,
follow the best receiver, and I'd play a lot of man.
The Panthers never used to do that with Josh Norman. For the most part, he used to just stay on one side of the field, and Ramsey doesn't.
Right, and that's how Richard Sherman. That's how Richard Sherman played too when he was in his prime.
Yeah, they don't move. Yeah, most of the time they don't move these guys around because they're usually better on one side than they are on the other. Usually they're
But Slay moved around. He's moved around with the best guys pretty much his whole career.
well. That's a good thing though to be able to do that. That's some versatility. But again, he may have a stronger side and a weaker side too. We don't know that. I don't think anybody here really knows that because none of us have seen him play enough to know that right now.
And then I need a pass rusher of some kind. I don't really like a lot of the pass rushers in this draft. Obviously, Chase Young is pretty near can't miss, but the Eagles, they're not going to have a chance at Chase Young.
No, he's not going to fall that far. He won't fall past number.
You're not going to get a chance at Young. That's why Yannick makes so much sense for both of our teams, really.
Oh, he really does. I mean, he makes a lot of sense for the Giants if the Giants can find a way to make a trade with the Jaguars. I just don't. I mean, the Giants certainly have the draft capital. I just don't know if they're insistent on Solder going to as part of the deal. I just don't know if the Jaguars are going to make that deal. They seem to be insistent that Solder is part of it. I've heard obviously they'd switch picks. But what I've heard is that they want to switch picks so that they can get themselves one of those big quarterbacks. And again, it all depends on what happens with the 2 and the 3 hole where these teams are going.
Chicago's. I almost prefer trading back. The draft is loaded with talent in the first 3 rounds. I mean, okay, I don't want to get too.
But you don't want to go too far down.
No.
I mean,
I value like. Look, I can nerd out on the draft for the whole 2 hours, and we can talk about guys I think that are going to go late, that are really good and going to be good players. Also, guys that I don't think are that good of players that are going to go way too early. We can do that all day long, but I prefer quality over quantity when it comes to my draft. That's why I would never have any problem trading draft picks for established, proven veterans like Yannick or Slay.
Well, Yannick is only 25. I can understand that. He's entering.
Yeah, but I care about now.
Huh?
I care about now. When I have Carson,
I understand that, but Yannick is entering his prime now, so he should actually get better. Slay is near the end of his prime. I still think he may have a year or two of prime of being a primetime player. I would think he hasn't really had any serious leg injuries, so there's no reason to think that he can't still be a really solid player.
D Nice 619. Chase Claypool is the man to get. I mean, D Nice 619. No, he's not. No, he's not. I mean, if I had to identify with a college football team, it would be Notre Dame. I watch a lot of their games start to finish, and he's okay. I mean, if he's there on day 3, I'd take a flyer on him. But I mean, I'm not a Chase Claypool guy at all. I'm not a Michael Pittman guy out of USC at all. Which people get enamored with the size aspect of receiver. I need a guy who can run routes, catch the ball. More importantly, separate. I mean, I'm a Justin Jefferson guy. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's an absolute stud. I don't understand why he's not classified in the category with Judy, Ruggs, Lamb. I think he's better than Lamb. I think he's better than Ruggs. I think Judy's the best and Jefferson's second. So if the Eagles could get Justin Jefferson at 21, that's the dream scenario.
I think they could. I from what it sounds like, and I've seen a lot of the mock drafts. It sounds like Judy and Lamb are going to be the first 2 receivers off the board.
It seems that way, yeah.
That's what it seems like. But again, that's all speculation.
No one knows.
You don't really know what these GMs are going to do. I mean,
but
you can't account.
Look at Justin Jefferson. I'm sick of hearing about he can only play in the slot. He can only play in the slot. I understand most of his production last season was from the slot, but You know, the Eagles need that too. I don't care if you wind up in the slot.
What's the difference if you put him in the slot? You could put him in the slot. You guys need a slot receiver too. So
I want a guy who can separate. I want a guy who can run routes, and I want a guy who can finish. I want a guy who can play big in the Justin Jefferson played biggest in the biggest games.
that's why. See, that's why you. That is why
4 touchdowns in the playoff game against Oklahoma.
This is why the Eagles need to draft a receiver in the first round because they need that. They need that with their offense because if they don't do something about receiver and get some guys that's going to scare the other team, it's just going to make it harder for them to run the ball because teams are just going to line up and dare Carson Wentz to beat him. You know, they're going to double team the 2 tight ends and it's going to be a lot harder for them to score.
Like Tom Arnone just checks in, you just need one in the first 2 rounds. I agree with that. I'm not trying to force a receiver pick in the first round at pick 21. I'm also not trying to force my way up the board and giving up multiple draft picks for, you know, Lamb or Judy or one of those guys.
But the problem with that deal is that they're not one away. They're not one player.
No, I don't think it's smart for the Eagles to trade up. I don't think they're one player away. You only trade up and trade multiple draft picks when you're one player away.
Right. Unless you're picking up, you know, if you're trading, you're getting draft picks up, you know, on the lower end of the spectrum, but you're getting more picks. I mean, that's where you can get it.
Yeah, and I'm talking about in the first round. You trade down, trade up in the 4th, 5th, 3rd round, whatever you want. Trade in those rounds.
First round though is like a mathematical formula that all the GMs use. At least this is what I've been told. Is that they all have like some kind of a mathematical formula.
Oh, great analytics.
Yes, they have
my favorite, Brad.
I know, but they have a point system with the first round. So a first round pick is worth so many points and or of draft capital and yada, you know, and so on down the line. So I mean, I don't know how it works. This is just
why don't some of these GMs like stare up from the chart and actually look at their team and try and win instead of doing stupid analytics? Maybe there'd be more. Maybe some of these teams that are never good would get good, like the Jets, like the Lions, like the Browns, like the Jaguars. Brodo. Hold on, I got more here. Tom says that we just need one in the first 2 rounds. I agree with that, but I mean, if Jefferson's there at 21,
then they'll probably draft him.
Judy.
Well, it depends on who's in front of him. I'm just thinking that there's no way Judy gets past the Jets. I think that they're going to be sitting there.
I think Jerry Judy is a top 5 player in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. But if I was teams that just don't need wide receivers right now.
I get it. I get that. I'm just talking about pure prospects. I think Judy's a top 5 player in the whole draft. I think it's.
Well, I agree. I agree with you about that.
I think Burrow, Chase Young, Okudah, Derek Brown, who's a defensive tackle from Auburn, who looks like just a great prospect, and Judy. I think they're the top 5. I think they're the top 5 players in the whole draft. So if you can get Judy at 21 somehow, that's a steal.
Yeah, I don't think that's good.
Jefferson might be a top 10 player in the whole draft.
Yeah, he could get.
I haven't really dove in that deep.
I mean, who's to say Jacksonville, if they have the 9th pick in the draft, who's to say they won't go out and grab him? They could use a receiver.
Judy, that'd be a great pick at 9
for them. Yeah,
that'd be. But
the Cardinals are at 10, right?
Well, the Cardinals just got Hopkins.
Oh, okay, forget them then. Yeah,
so I think that would be a little overkill to.
Yeah, they still have Fitz, so no, you're right. You're right.
But Greg Malakovic, he disagrees with the poll. I'd like to get a wide receiver, but they should draft the best available. That's how you don't get yourself burnt, Greg. And I agree with that. But if Justin Jefferson's there, I don't think that's forcing the issue at receiver. I think he
might be the best available at 21.
I think when you get into guys like KJ Hamler, who I've seen speculated at 21, Denzel Mims, who I liked, but now I don't really like anymore. I think that's a total reach at 21. The kid from Arizona State, Brandon Ayuk, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, no thanks at 21. Like, these are all fine picks at 53, which is the Eagles' second round pick. But, I'm not into those guys. Jalen Reagor is an interesting prospect, the kid from TCU. He's really fast, and he's got decent enough size. But I feel like Reagor could be – I feel that's forcing the issue in terms of receiver at 21. Reagor, like, let's say you move back to, like, 30th or end of the first round, early in the second round, and then you take Reagor, I think that's something I'd be more comfortable with.
Rob, where do you think a guy like Jalen Hurts gets picked?
Jalen Hurts. I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts.
I think he was ranked 5th amongst the this year's draft of quarterbacks.
Well,
which tells you it's a pretty deep draft for quarterbacks. That's a lot of quarterbacks.
I mean, he'll probably go
second, third round.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is with quarterbacks in this league. I mean, they get bumped up the draft, especially if they have a good pro day or workout or a good interview or something.
They're not going to have the pro day or the workout this year. That's the one thing that you're.
Well, they made the Reagor kid tape it at his house, I guess, or whatever, and he sent it to all the teams.
Oh, okay. Oh, then that's what they're doing. Then yeah, they figure something out.
Yeah, they're doing, but I don't know. Third round, second round seems excessive, but then again, I'm not a Tua guy. I'm not a Jordan Love guy. I like Jacob Eason a lot. He's the quarterback out of Washington. He's actually my third. He'd be my third quarterback. He'll probably be a second round pick.
Who's the guy? The guy from West Virginia? Is he the one that's a really good quarterback that nobody talks about?
West Virginia.
Yeah, who's the guy in West? Wasn't there a guy in West Virginia that was really good? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Will Greer. Will Greer got picked.
Yeah.
Ago. He's on Carolina.
Oh, he is. Okay, he's already been picked. All right, forget that.
Yeah.
Didn't realize he's already gone.
They got a 5th for Calais Campbell. Thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Brodo checks in. The Giants will be better next year, but not good enough to win the division unless Jones has a massive second year. Brodo,
the way they're currently, the way that they're currently set, he's right. I mean, if they're able to do something massive in the draft, and make a big move, pick up a big time pass.
But what I think. I think they could easily be in the mix until very late in the season for one of these wild card spots.
Well, if 8-8 gets you a wild card, yeah.
I think people are going to be surprised how many teams are in it late in the year with this extra wild card spot.
Yeah, well, again, if 8-8 gets you in, yes,
it might.
Yeah.
It might in the AFC, that's for sure. I don't know about the NFC. I think the NFC is a better.
The NFC, the one team that would have made it that didn't get in was the Rams. So I mean but we'll see about the Rams.
So if there was a 7th team in the NFC last year, it would have been the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams had a better record than the Eagles. They were the only non-playoff team that had a better record than the Eagles.
Rams won 10 games last year?
They won 9. They were 9-7.
Well, the Eagles won 9.
Okay, so then they had the same record.
The same, okay.
Yeah, they had the same record. So they would have I don't think anybody, I think all the teams that won 10 games were in.
And then
won 11 or 12, something like that, and they ended up being a wild card, which is
we've seen over the last 2 years that a QB has taken a huge jump in their second year. Wentz in 2017, Mahomes in 18, Lamar Jackson in 19. I mean, I think that Daniel Jones is certainly a category candidate for that category.
I thought he looked pretty good last year. I mean, all things considered, the offensive line was not very good last year. He didn't have Sterling Shepard for a good part of the year. I thought he played pretty
Look, the
well.
Giants didn't have much go right last year.
No, but most of the problems were the defense. The defense was just terrible.
The defense was horrible.
Barkley also missed a lot of time too.
Barkley was never really right until very late in the season. Shepard was hurt. Ingram was hurt. The offensive line was bad. Shermer's proven once again that he's a better offensive coordinator than a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, other than Zettler, their offensive line was a mess last year.
So the Giants were pretty much a disaster last year. Of all the teams
they were really bad. I mean, but most of it was defensively. The offense was not terrible last year. They scored enough points to win several games. It's just their defense just took them out of a lot of games last year because they couldn't stop anybody.
Raheem Jackson.
30 points a game is just way too much to give up.
Too much. You're right. Raheem Jackson. So if Jefferson is gone, do we take a DB in round 1? I mean, I like some DBs in round 1. I don't know what you do.
What about an offensive lineman?
That's a happy pick.
Some of your offensive linemen are getting a little long in the tooth.
Well, they got Dillard. They spent up a first-round pick last year. Semalu's young. Kelsey's he's older. Lane Johnson's in his prime. And, I mean, Brandon Brooks has just been terrific.
All right, so you don't think that's a possibility?
No, not at 21, not in the first round.
Yeah, I guess Wirfs isn't going to go that
They did lose 2 offensive tackles. Peters isn't coming back, and
Big V's gone.
Big V went to Detroit. So, I mean, I fully expect them to be in the market for one of these linemen that,
that 4th or 5th round.
They can move. Yeah, they move around. They're
do that 4th and 5th. In the 4th and 5th.
Yeah, round. So I think they're going to draft an offensive line. As far as DB, I like the kid from LSU, Grant Delpit. He's a safety. I think he's going to be really good. Really good. He's a coverage safety. He can cover deep, which is kind of a different skill set than the Eagles have right now. Rodney McLeod's really physical. He likes to play up by the line. And Jalen Mills, the further he gets away from the line of scrimmage, the worse he is. So the Eagles need a center fielder. Grant Delpit would fit that mold.
And is he fast enough to be able to cover half the field?
I mean, look. I mean, he played for a national champion.
I know. I just without having.
He ran a 4.3 at the combine.
Without having the combine, it's hard to say how fast.
I get it.
Or that's the only thing.
I hate the combine, so I.
No, I get it, but it is important to know how fast some of these guys are, especially safeties and corners and.
I'm just saying he was a key contributor on a national championship team, and he won the Jim Thorpe Award, which goes to the best overall defensive back.
Oh, then he should be a pretty solid pro. You would think.
So Okuda, who I just touted as a top 5 player in the whole draft, he didn't win the Jim Thorpe Award as the best corner.
No, but he's everybody's thinking that he's going to be the number 3 pick.
And then there's a cornerback out of Florida named C.J. Henderson who could be an interest. He's a guy I like. He can really cover, but he doesn't take the ball away. So, yeah, he can cover, but
if you have enough ball hawks in the secondary, it's not necessarily something you have to have. Also, you can develop that skill too. The more confidence.
Very true.
The more confidence these guys have, then the more you start seeing them get interceptions. A lot of times guys who get a lot of interceptions don't do it right away, not as rookies. Sometimes that takes time because you got to be able to read the quarterback, and that's not always something that's really easy to do.
And then there's a corner from Mississippi State, not at pick 21, but they had him in for a visit. Not had him in for a visit. They talked to him on Skype or phone or whatever. named Cameron Dantzler, who's got great size and great length. Seems to really fit what the Eagles like to do with their corners. So that's something to look for. Maybe a pick 53 or pick 103. He might be gone by pick 103. SEC guy.
Well, all the SEC guys that are really good.
Yeah, I like SEC guys.
Right now, between the SEC and the Big Ten, I would think most of your premier draft picks are going to be in those two conferences.
Jeff Lohmeyer, he's asking about a receiving prospect out of Florida named Van Jefferson. I like Van Jefferson a lot. I think his stock could get Van Jefferson at a discounted price because he did work out at the combine and he ended up breaking his foot. Or they discovered he had a broken foot during his medical evaluations at the combine. So maybe that'll scare some teams off.
He'll probably be a third or fourth rounder then.
The one thing Van Jefferson can really do, he's not a burner, but he can separate well, which is important. So he's good at getting open. So that's good. That would be a pick 103 candidate for me. But I like Van Jefferson. I like the player. That's a lot of JD checks in. How do you feel about Laviski Shenault? He's a receiver out of Colorado. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on Shenault. I've seen him at the end of the first round. I've seen him in the second round. He's injured so much, Brad, that I wouldn't even.
You don't want guys.
I wouldn't even waste my time with them.
Not in the first rounds.
He broke his pubic bone.
Yikes!
How he did that, or what he was doing, if it was on, or
we don't need.
I'm not sure, but breaking your pubic bone, that sounds like it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And he's had knees, he's had ankles, he's got. I can't deal with a guy that can't be on the field.
Yeah, I hate guys.
No matter how good you are, you're not on the field, you're useless to me.
That's kind of like my guy on the Giants, Evan Ingram. That's my problem with him.
Yeah, but he was what? You picked him in what, the first round?
We picked him in the first round.
Jerry Reese did.
Mm-hmm. Jerry Reese.
Bet you Gettleman
screwed up a lot of picks. I mean, using that quarterback from UCLA as your third round pick. Yeah, I still don't understand that one. Davis Webb. I'm sure you remember him. That was one of the dumbest picks they ever made at 3.
Raheem Jackson. I think Jefferson is better than Ruggs. Ruggs is just speed, whereas Jefferson is more of a complete receiver. Yeah, I mean, I love Jefferson. Raheem. I love Justin Jefferson.
Well,
catches the ball, he can finish.
You put him in Deshaun Jackson, you're gonna have something there.
I think 2 other factors about Justin Jefferson that get overlooked is not last year, but 2 years ago, he had 70 catches with awful quarterback play and a stagnant, stale 1940s college offense. Ed Orgeron almost got fired.
Wow, that's saying something then.
They lost one of them. You know them gimme games they schedule.
Yes, especially
they lost
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they lost one of them, and he was really on the hot seat. And Ed Orgeron, to his credit, reevaluated his coaching style. He brought in Joe Brady. He got Burrow in the transfer portal. He brought in Joe Brady, who's now the offensive coordinator for Carolina, instituted a pro-style passing offense, and Justin Jefferson had 111 catches in that passing, in that pro-style fit.
That's a big
difference. I mean, they don't play 16 games in college. You play what? You play 12 plus a bowl game.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And another factor, Look at his stats against Texas last year. Look at his stats against Alabama last year. Look at his stats against Oklahoma last year. And they play Clemson in the championship or Ohio State. I forget.
Well, which team are we talking about?
LSU. LSU played Clemson.
LSU
right?
played Clemson.
Yeah. So those 4 games, he averaged like 9 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Averaged.
That's
It's something crazy. I don't have the stat right in front of me.
I mean,
we don't do notes here.
Right. Now that's pretty. That's
so
pretty good.
give me a guy who flourished in both.
Keep in mind, though, he's also with Burrow, and they were
okay. But where's Wentz going to be putting the ball next year? On the money?
Yeah, pretty much. You would think, if he stays healthy.
Well, I'm just talking about.
In theory, if you're having.
But that's my point. That's my point, Brad. Justin Jefferson had 70 catches with an awful quarterback.
Well, then he should be able to do that. If he does that in the pros, though, that's a good thing as a rookie.
The way he runs routes and the way he separates, like, I don't know what people are watching that this kid's not a stud. You can sit there and tell me. He can only play in the slot. That's such a lazy argument to me. It's just such a lazy argument. Why do I care if he's in the slot or outside? I want a receiver that can make.
It doesn't matter if he can
catch the ball from my franchise quarterback.
If he can make big plays.
Point of it.
Plays.
Like, I mean, you're really gonna be Greg Ward in the slot. I mean, come on. I like Greg Ward. He's probably gonna make this football team next year. He's gonna get a chance to play a lot next year because I don't think Alshon Jeffrey's healthy. But I mean, I'd much rather have Justin Jefferson running my slot than Greg Ward. All due respect to Greg Ward, because I like Greg Ward. Good player. He really saved the season last year. Ryan Brodo, Justin Jefferson, and Hightower. If those are the 2 wide receiver picks, I'll be very happy. I'm not sure who Hightower is. So maybe Brodo can check back in. I mean, I've been really geeking out on draft prospects, and I don't recall any receiver being named Hightower. But
I don't recall that name ever.
Raheem Jackson. I think Rieger is a good receiver. Maybe falls to our 2nd round pick. I like Rieger. I think he's going to go in the late 1st round. So if you really want Rieger, you trade back a few spots, you get him, you get yourself an extra pick. I don't like the idea of going receiver with our first 2 picks, but getting Jefferson at 21 and trading up early in the 2nd round if Rieger is available. I wouldn't mind getting him, but I just don't like the idea of 2 receivers with 2 picks. Yeah, I'm out on. That's also from Raheem Jackson. Raheem's bringing it tonight. Thank him for checking in. It's the first time I've ever seen him in the Sports Hounds check. We just thank him for bringing some good stuff to the table tonight. Yeah, the Eagles shouldn't get a receiver with 21 and 53.
No, I wouldn't draft 2 receivers.
There's too many. I think they have more needs than that to be able to just stock up on one position.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that with the first 2 picks. Pick one. If one of the guys that you want as a receiver is available, I think that's where you got to go. As far as pick 2 goes, I think
they got to get one receiver that can step in and contribute right away with either pick 21, pick 53, or pick 103. So one of the first 3 picks, you need to get a day 1 contributor at receiver.
Yeah, I think the first pick is where they get the receiver. I think second pick, where they should be going with second pick is the highest ranked player on their board is where they should go with the second pick. You can always move guys. You can always move guys around, but whoever the second pick is, whoever's on their board that's rated the highest is where they should go.
All right, Raheem Jackson, he puts in his Eagle mock. Justin Jefferson at 21, 53, Antoine Winfield. Antoine Winfield's a spectacular looking prospect.
He's not going to last that long.
There's no way he's there at pick 53.
They're saying that he's probably going to be early 2nd round pick. They're talking about the Giants landing him in the 2nd round.
I think that would be a good selection by your Giants if they go that route. Pick 103 is Nick Harris, who I'm not familiar with. Pick 127, Gabriel Davis, who I'm not familiar with. Pick 145 is a middle linebacker out of Ohio State, Malik Harrison. He's a second-round guy there, Raheem. He's a beast, 6'4", 250, Ohio State, Big Ten. Really brings the wood, can finish, can do it all.
That's a guy you'd want to draft.
I like him at pick 53 for the Eagles a lot.
Hey, linebacker?
We really don't have any linebackers here.
Yeah, you could use a linebacker.
Most
definitely, the Eagles can use a linebacker.
Jeff Lohmeyer, he likes Lavert Hill. He's a cornerback out of Michigan. He's a little small, Lavert Hill.
He's pretty quick though.
He's like in that 5'9", 170 range. I don't know. I like big boys.
That would be tough as a that'd be tough in the first couple of rounds. I think that's a guy you may draft in the 5th or 6th.
Yeah, round. He's a day 3 guy.
Yeah, I mean that's more like a guy that might be a nickelback.
Jeff Lohmeyer, maybe also a Ben Bredesen or John Runyon Jr. in the late rounds in terms of offensive line. Those are both great prospects. I like the entire there's 3 Michigan linemen: John Runyon, Ben Bredesen, I guess is how you say it, and Cesar Ruiz. There are 3 Michigan linemen that I think would be good picks, not only for the Eagles, for anybody, for the Giants, for the Cowboys, for the Patriots, for whoever. I think that Michigan, they kind of have a pedigree there for offensive line play.
They always have.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in that. Like DBU, running back U, linebacker U. I think certain schools just are able to do
certain schools place a premium on a certain position to be a dominant position. So like Penn State used to be linebacker university when Paterno was there.
Right. And I'm trying to think of other ones. Like Georgia running back, you can go back to Herschel Walker in the 80s. The Georgia's always had awesome running backs that
and usually the Big Ten running backs end up not being good in the pros for whatever.
Like Ron Dane.
Well, he's one, but Tyrone Wheatley, he was another one.
Tyrone Wheatley.
Yeah, I mean there's a few of them, but a lot of them don't seem to pan out. In the Blair Thomas,
Freight Train Dane. Remember the Giants picked him?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a great pick, except the problem was he didn't want to run.
You had Tiki Barber. It was a stupid pick.
They didn't realize how good Tiki Barber was.
And then they were going to do Raheem Jackson. Nick Harris is a center out of Washington University. Okay. I mean, the Eagles, they need to start preparing for life after Jason Kelce. So I'm in for drafting someone who can potentially play center.
That would be a wise idea. I do think.
But I also think that you have your center of the future in-house, because I think Seimalu can play center. I think Seimalu might be better at center than guard. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. Under the radar wide receiver, the kid from SMU, Porsche Jr., I believe it is. Dude balled out his whole career. I'm not familiar. I'll have to look at him. And that brings us up to date on our comments. So, to the poll question, they don't need to take a receiver at 21, but I think the best player available is going to be a receiver.
I think that they should take a receiver at 21. But I'm looking at it that I hope they don't, because I'd like to see them stuck with the same lousy receivers that they have now. But I'm sure that they will get a good receiver, and their offense would scare me if they had a burner. I know Deshaun is still a burner, but you know what?
But you don't know. You don't know.
They're an age, so you just don't know, and you don't know how many games he can play, because he's always been injury prone. So we'll see.
And then, I mean, you look at the top 10. I'm trying to look at these teams picking here. Like, who's gonna? So you think two receivers are gonna be off the board at 21? Just two.
Just two, yeah.
So
I think a lot of teams are going to draft defense, Rob. There's a lot of good defensive players on the board. That's in the first round. And most of these teams, most of these really bad teams really do need to bone up on.
I don't know if I evaluate the draft like that. And I hear you. I read all that stuff too. This seems to be a skill position draft.
There are the top of the draft you're going to get quarterbacks unless
that's always the case. But I wouldn't spend a first round pick on Tua.
Well, it depends on who's drafting though.
Well, he's going to go in the top 5 because someone in the top 5 is going to pick him.
Listen,
someone's going to trade for him because of what Lamar Jackson did last year.
If the Dolphins are able to draft, they'll draft him most definitely. As far as the rest of the teams, I'm not sure.
I mean, I thought the Dolphins had a pretty good offseason. I think you can get a guy like Eason in the second round. I think they have pick 40 thereabouts in terms of the second round. They picked very high in the second round. They were a bad team last year. But 3 first-round picks, I mean, if you
I'll tell you what, though, they were a lot better when they had Ryan Fitzpatrick QBing, though.
Yeah, but why don't you just roll with Fitzpatrick, try and build your team up, get some good play?
That would be a good reason for them to draft Tua because if he's still banged up, you can let him recover next year and let Fitzpatrick be the quarterback while you're building the rest of the team. And then in 2 years, you have yourself an excellent quarterback. Because he's gonna.
I'm just not a Tua guy. I get
it, but he is a very accurate quarterback. I mean, there's no question about that.
Who, Tua?
Yes.
I mean, he's got an arm and he's got legs, but
he's accurate too. I mean, he can put the ball right on the money when he has to.
I don't know. I like my man Eason. I like Herbert. I like Burrow.
Well, everybody likes Burrow.
Burrow and Herbert are the only 2 quarterbacks in the draft I would spend a first-round pick on.
Yeah, but I think that there's going to be 4 guys that are going to get picked in the first round as far as quarterbacks are concerned.
But like
that guy Love supposedly is going to be a first-round pick too. So
yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I watched a lot of college football last season, and I didn't see much out of Jordan Love. So I don't know where he came from or how he's shooting up these boards. I don't know, but I
used to like him. I mean, and a lot of these bad teams need quarterbacks.
Yeah, but like you look at a team like the Chargers. The Chargers are loaded. They have everything you need to win a championship except a franchise quarterback. But what do you do?
But they could still go out and get a guy like Dalton or go out and get a guy like
They seem happy with Tyrod Taylor, and he's not the worst quarterback in the world.
No, and he did get Buffalo to a playoff game. But
he took that Buffalo team to the playoffs, and they had a lot less talent than this Chargers team is going to have next year.
Offensively, that team had little to no talent at all. And basically, Tyrod had to use his legs to get any points that year. So, I think he gets a bad rap because he was ineffective when he was with the Browns. I think that has a lot to do with it. And then Baker Mayfield came on the scene, and he burned it up for a few weeks, and then last year we all know what happened.
Brodo checks back in. John Hightower, he's a receiver from Boise State. Speed, perfect compliment to Justin Jefferson. I mean, okay. I'll look him up.
Problem with Boise State is they play in a crappy conference.
Then Lohmeyer checks back in. Portia from SMU led the nation in receptions, 111, 1225 yards, and 15 touchdowns, 5'11", 200 pounds. Great late round value. I mean, okay.
Cool. Kind of like my receivers a little bigger than that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, a late round receiver that I like is a guy by the name of Jawan Jennings. He played at Tennessee, 3-year starter at Tennessee. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. 3-year starter in the SEC.
That would work for me for a late round.
He's he's a little bit of a knucklehead. He gets in trouble. He's got some character issues, so that's why he's a day 3 pick. But day 3, I don't have a problem taking a chance on a character guy if he can play on day 3.
Well, you know what? A lot of times, though, when these guys go to the pros, when they're getting paid, they don't quite act the same way. A little different when you're getting paid. You don't want to lose that paycheck.
Quez Watkins from Southern Miss, I think. He's a speed, but I'm not sure if he can thrive in the NFL. Yeah, Southern Miss, I'm out on these guys. All due respect to these smaller school guys. I don't know. I would just feel more comfortable if I was a GM and my job was on the line to find players. I mean, I don't know how many players from Southern Miss I'd be picking. But that's me. I'd be picking a lot of SEC and a lot of Big Ten players, like you said earlier, Brad.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the competition these guys played against. No knock against Boise State, but who's Boise State playing?
Well, they're Mountain West, I think. That's at least.
It's okay, but it's how much better is it than the Pac-10? It's like a step below the Pac-10.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So
thoughts on Antonio Gandy Golden, and would you pick him with one of our later picks?
That guy's supposed to be good. I've heard him.
Yeah, he was at the Senior Bowl. He made some noise. The thing is, he went to Liberty. I know Greg's gonna get mad at me because he went to Liberty too, but we're not talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide here.
No, many players from Liberty have played in the NFL, though.
I wouldn't pick Antonio Gandy Golden with any of my picks.
7th round, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to separate at the next level, and I don't know if he's fast enough. I don't know if he's.
He'll be on a roster. He'll be if he doesn't get drafted.
Yeah, he'll get drafted. Look, he's gonna be 255 guys are gonna get picked.
Yeah, he'll be, and if they're not, he'll be on the short list to come in as an undrafted free agent for sure. Because a lot of these guys do, they will have their short lists of guys they call after the draft too.
Absolutely, but so Justin Jefferson at pick 21, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Look, Donovan Peoples-Jones was a really highly rated prospect coming out of high school, and he never really lived up to that hype there at Michigan. So I'm out on Peoples-Jones, and I think he's going to be a day 2 pick for somebody. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, no. There's other receivers I would prefer, especially I don't know who Jeff's a fan of, Jeff Lohmeyer. I get the vibe that he's a Giants fan like you, based on some of his comments. But, look at a guy like KJ Hill from Ohio State. That's a guy I like. He's really fast, Big Ten guy. Deshaun Jenkins, no faith in Alshon. No, look.
Alshon could come back in November and tear it up.
Alshon regressed last year. Now, maybe he was hurt, but the thing about Alshon is he didn't do a good job of separating, and he didn't do a good job of catching the ball.
Well, let me ask you this, Rob. Okay, he may have been number one. He may have been playing hurt. Did you watch the replay of the Giants Super Bowl game yesterday?
I did not. No.
Okay. Steve Smith, who the Giants drafted that season, from USC, he was one of the
right. He played for the Eagles, but he got hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Well, he was always getting hurt. That was part of the problem. But the Giants didn't put him on injured reserve, and he came to the team in week 10 or week 11.
Yeah.
And, he came back. They didn't put him on injured reserve. He came back healthy, and he really, really made a big difference to the team. I think Alshon could do that if the Eagles don't rush him back and they let him get healthy.
Look, he's going to be on the Eagles. Alshon Jeffrey is not
He's going to be. He's going to be because it doesn't pay for them to cut him.
No,
and they're not going to be able.
Nobody's going to take on the money in a trade.
Right, but that doesn't mean that he can't come back in the middle of the season and make an impact.
That's what we need. That's what the Eagles need.
And that could very well happen. I mean, they can put him.
I need to get some guys in here that can play before November. That can.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I'm just saying, don't give up on him for the whole season. You never know.
No, I'm resigned. I've been resigned to the fact for weeks that Alshon Jeffrey isn't going anywhere. He's not getting traded. He's not getting cut. You just gotta keep him in your building. You got to hope he gets along with Carson. You got to hope he doesn't mouth off to the media like he's.
You got to hope he gets healthy. Most importantly, if he gets healthy,
you need him to be healthy and contribute.
Yeah, if he gets healthy, he will contribute. I do believe that. I don't think. How old is he right now?
30.
Well, 30 shouldn't be 30 for a wide receiver. Shouldn't be the end.
No, I wouldn't. He should have.
But I mean, unless he didn't. Did he hurt? What did he hurt? His knee or Alshon? What's wrong with him?
I think he had a foot.
A foot. Okay. I mean, as long as it's not his knee, he should be able to come back and play reasonably well.
Stephen Price. So I just looked at the list of wide receivers the Eagles have interviewed, and none were the top 3 receivers, so we're not going to move up. Yeah, Stephen, don't look at that because teams bring in guys for workouts just to make it look like they're interested in them. It's lying season in the NFL. So I wouldn't look at that.
You can't go by any of that stuff.
I wouldn't get too wrapped up in who they're interviewing and who they're talking to. Because a lot of that stuff just gets fed to the media just to make it look like they're interested in someone so they can either drive up the price and trade or make something happen in other facets.
Or let somebody think they're interested in somebody else so that the guy that they really want, doesn't get picked. They're all kind. They all these teams.
It's all games.
Yeah, nobody's going to really want to show their hand.
DPV had a bum quarterback on a run-first offense. I think with a good quarterback, he will be good. DPV, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So he meant DP. Okay, I got you. First time turning into the program. So Eagles fan, though, through and through. Okay, so Jeff's an Eagles fan. All right, so that's the draft talk. We're talking about some draft next week. We'll get the winners and losers when the draft actually does happen. But, Brad, I want to talk about some baseball.
Okay.
I said last week that I didn't think baseball was going to happen. And now they're floating all these ideas. They have all these scenarios, some of which are pretty exciting. So I think that baseball is trying to have a season. They are putting forth the effort to have a season.
Oh, they're definitely going to give it a shot. I mean, the question is going to be though, can they do it? Are they going to do it starting in May or June or July? And if they do, are they going to realign? And we've seen some of the realignment possibilities, especially if they play the games in Florida or Arizona. And very interesting. These divisions are, for 1 year, I think it would be pretty interesting. If you're a Yankee, if you're a Yankee,
I like the realignment a lot. Where you kind of have like 2 leagues. You have the one league, the Cactus Leagues out in Arizona, and then you have the Grapefruit League back east. And I get it. The Red Sox and the Yankees aren't going to be in the same division, and the Phillies and the Mets aren't going to be in the same division.
Tampa's not going to be in our division either, which is kind of tough because I kind of like playing them, and we love to beat up on the Orioles. Playing Detroit and Pittsburgh is just not going to be the same.
Right. So I would like to go through
playing the Phillies would be fun, but I mean, it's not like they don't really have that kind of a rivalry with the Phillies. So I mean, if it was 2010 or 2011. Yeah, maybe, but a lot of time has passed since 2000.
Let me get the divisions up here because I really like that. I want to go through each division and kind of get our thoughts, and we can touch on every team for at least a few minutes here as we close out the final hour here. on the Sports Hounds, but I have it. So we'll start with the Grapefruit League. These are obviously teams that play their spring training baseball in Florida. So all these games would be centralized in a warm climate, Florida, a place that's not, at least as we speak right now, a hotbed for this coronavirus, like Louisiana and New York.
We don't know if the fans are going to be there either. No mention of that yet.
Yeah, but still, I mean, do a game even with no fans. I mean, you need the players, obviously. You need umpires.
You don't need that. You don't necessarily need to have the fans there. If you can watch on TV, it'll be.
Fans at baseball games. That'll be in 2021. We're not going to have fans unless we get into the fall and we can have fans.
Unless we have a vaccine by the end of June, I don't see it.
But let me bring up these leagues. So the Grapefruit League North. Now this presents a great opportunity for the Sports Hounds to really have some fun during baseball season because the Phillies and the Yankees both would be in the Grapefruit League North. That means what? Maybe 10 games you get against each other? Your squad against my squad?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe a little more.
10, 12 games, maybe?
Yeah, probably 12. I mean, I was trying to figure out that if they wanted to get like a 100-game schedule, it'd be probably about it'd probably be like 12 games. Because you figure if it was 12 games, you get 48 games against your division. So
in a regular season,
right? If it was a 100-game season,
rated a little bit. So Phillies and Yankees would be in the same division
with the Blue Jays.
With the Blue Jays, who are, I think the Phillies are better than the Blue Jays.
That's close, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as close as you're making it. I think the Phillies are better. They're more veteran. They have more veterans.
Yeah, but there's no telling how good that Toronto team can be, though. They've got some real good young players.
And I like Toronto.
Yeah, and listen, they've improved their pitching staff too. They're not. Listen, are they an elite team? No, they're not. They're not at that level, but they've definitely upgraded their team. I think if the in the old division, well, in the real division, in the real AL East, I think they would have come in third this year. I think that was something they could have definitely done behind the Yankees.
Yes.
Today.
Well, you know what I was watching highlights of? Not to get off of. I was watching highlights of the 1993 World Series.
That was Minnesota, right?
No, that was the Joe Carter.
Okay.
That Blue Jays team was loaded.
Oh, that was a good team.
They had
a great offense.
They had John Olerud had 46 home runs, I think.
He had 380 that year, didn't he?
He had 360 with a 70 on base percentage. They had Roberto Alomar in the prime of his career. They had Joe Carter, who was terrific.
They still had George Bell too, didn't they?
I
think they still had George Bell.
Tony Fernandez at shortstop, who was a glove.
Tony Fernandez was a good player.
Devon White played center. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was a Gold Glove back then.
And then they had Paul Molitor as the DH. That team was loaded. The Phillies should have never even been on the same field.
And their bullpen. I mean, Dwayne Ward and Tom Henke. Ooh. And
then they didn't have.
I'm sure you remember that bullpen because that bullpen was good.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have guys.
Ricky. Didn't they have Ricky on their team too?
They had Ricky, yeah, but Ricky, I think he got traded there, if my memory serves me correct, during the middle of the season. Because the stats only show he only had 150 at bats with the.
Okay, but when the Phillies played him, he was on the team, and
he was in.
Yeah, I mean they were.
And I assume that.
And they had I think Winfield was on the bench.
It was just a loaded team, but
yeah, oh my God, they had great pitching too back then too. But that 15-14 game, who could ever forget that game?
That's the one I was watching highlights of.
Yeah, that was some game.
But okay, so you have the North.
That game, didn't they?
You have the North with the what's that? The Phillies. The Phillies. What's that?
think the Phillies blew a huge lead in that game, didn't they?
They did, and then they took it back, and then they lost it again. It was crazy. But the Grapefruit League North, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, and then you have afterthoughts of Detroit and Pittsburgh, which, I mean, they're not going to do anything this
They're
year.
going to get annihilated.
Pittsburgh is terrible. Pittsburgh's an embarrassment.
So is Detroit.
Mike Trout's salary this year is more than the Pirates' entire payroll, which is embarrassing.
Well, he may hit more home runs than their entire team, so that's about right.
I mean, Detroit, I mean, you still have Miggy, even though he's older. Matt Boyd's a decent pitcher. You got some bullpen guys that they're at least they're not a good team, but they're at least a major league team. The Pirates
team. Don't be too sure about that. They were bad last year. I think last year their best player was Candelario. I mean, that's not saying a lot.
No, I mean, maybe I'm overselling them a little bit, but I think they'll win more games than the Pirates.
Yeah, well, the Pirates are going to get annihilated in that division too.
And then Grapefruit League South, this is actually a pretty good division. You got the Red Sox, the Twins, the Braves, Tampa, and Baltimore.
That division's pretty loaded, actually.
You have Minnesota, Atlanta, and Tampa, who could potentially.
I would if you're asking me, if you put a gun to my head and said who would you bet on to win that division, I'd be taking Tampa. Life on the line, Tampa Bay in that division.
Well,
Tampa Bay's
Donaldson's the whole out of those out of that division. Donaldson's the wild card of the whole division.
Yeah, but Minnesota still doesn't have good pitching.
Yeah, but if you have Minnesota, they do have a decent enough bullpen, and they score a lot of runs. They hit more home runs than the Yankees last year.
Yeah, 2 more, I think.
I think they
hit like 2 more last year. Yeah,
I think teams that
they have their starting pitching is still atrocious, though. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not buying Jose Barrios. I'm not buying Jose Barrios, and I'm not buying what's his name, the former Tampa Bay Ray, who was Jake
Odorizzi.
I'm not buying him either. Sorry. You're not going to sell me on either.
That's fair.
Are you going to seriously compare them to?
Yeah, but if you're playing, Brad, if you're playing 7-inning doubleheaders like they're talking about doing,
yeah,
some of these scenarios, in my opinion, that seems to put less emphasis on starting pitching and more emphasis on your everyday lineup. So these teams that have great lineups but not great staffs, like Minnesota, the Phillies.
I'm not buying that. You still win and lose with pitching in baseball. You're only as good as your pitching.
You can have Barrios pitch 4 or 5 innings. It's only a 7 game, Brad.
Okay, but you have to look at, if you look at Tampa Bay's pitching staff, Tampa Bay's top 4 pitchers are better than any pitcher on Minnesota. And they're also
I get that. And if we were just doing a realignment with
the Braves, and if you look at the Braves, other than Soraka, none of them could crack the Rays top 4 either.
You're right.
Soraka could.
And I love Tampa because they have
they've got enough hitting to be highly competitive.
They're dealing penny stocks, and the Yankees and these big market teams. They're trading Amazon and Netflix.
True.
The Rays, they're right there every year with no payroll.
Yeah, because they have really good pitching.
So,
I mean, that's how. Listen, when your pitching staff is only giving up 3 runs a game, okay, you're going to be in every game. It doesn't take a lot to score 4 runs. It just doesn't.
All right, you sold me. The Rays are the best in that.
I think so. I mean,
I will shift from the Twins.
I don't have a lot of respect for the Twins, in case you haven't noticed. Of course, I'm a Yankee fan, which has a lot to do with it. But the Twins never showed me.
Beat the Twins by 1 million runs every time you play them. What do you got to get the Twins?
The Twins have no guts.
Based on what? Because they can't beat the Yankees? They're just not as good as the Yankees.
They're not competitive. They're not even competitive with the Yankees, though.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed this, Brad, but the Yankees are pretty good.
Tampa Bay didn't get beat up like that last year by the Yankees at all.
I mean,
they had a couple of games that they got beat up, but not Minnesota. The Yankees just abused them, and they abused them in the regular season too. I think the Yankees last year
I
won.
hear you, but I mean,
The Yankees beat them 6 out of 7 games last
they
year.
won 100 games last year.
I know, but the Twins won like 97. But they played in a really
The Twins won 100 games. The Yankees won 100 games. The Dodgers won 100 games, and the Astros won 100 games.
Yeah, but the Twins played in an easy division, though. You can't deny that.
I can't argue that. No, I can't.
Yeah, I
can't.
Who was the tough team for them?
Cleveland was down. The Royals suck. The Tigers suck.
Yeah, the White Sox.
And the White Sox, they're up and coming, but they're not.
They're not yet, and
they're not contenders yet.
Kansas City is still pretty horrible.
All right, then you got the Grapefruit League East. You have the defending world champion Washington Nationals, the Houston Astros, the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Miami Marlins.
That's a good division. That's a real good division.
So, I don't think the Cardinals are that good. But then again, I say that every year about the Cardinals, and they're in the playoffs every year. So
I think they're fourth in that division.
I don't have any feel for what goes on in St. Louis from a baseball standpoint.
Yeah, I think they're fourth in that division. I think
Noah Syndergaard having to get Tommy John surgery really
that hurts. That hurts.
Damper on what I thought was a decent Mets team.
What's going to be critical?
Marlins stink.
What's going to be critical for the Mets is that they need it from Marcus Stroman. They need him to have a good year.
Yes.
He can't kind of be in the background now. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Even Matz needs to really step up if the Mets are going to be a competitive team this year.
So you have the Phillies and Yankees in the same division. You have a loaded division in the South with the Twins, the Braves, and the Rays. And you have both World Series participants from a year ago all in the Grapefruit League. So the Grapefruit League, it's a balanced league. It's a good league. It's about time the Astros and Cardinals were in the same division, classic rivals. That's from Beastie Bry 1.
The Cardinals and the Astros were classic rivals. I'm just curious when
were they rivals?
When was that? Because I don't seem to recall. The Cardinals' rival is the Cubs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Mets.
The Astros used to be in the National League, and
we know that
Central Division. So I guess that's where he's going with it. But
the Astros were a bad baseball team in that division when the Cardinals were in that division. Because before that, the Cardinals
they played in the NLCS. The 1 year when Pujols hit that home run off Lidge, wasn't that the NLCS?
Yeah, but that was one time.
I know.
But for the most part, though, the Cardinals were in the same division as the Mets. The Cardinals were in the East, and Atlanta was in the West, and then they realigned. Because the Braves used to be in the National League West, if you recall.
Yes, I do.
Because if you remember the 1 year the Giants won 103 games before they had a wild card, and the Braves won like 106 or something like that. That's when they started having wild cards. That kind of forced the wild card issue. But that I believe that was the Braves that won all those games, wasn't it?
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. So I don't know about the Cardinals and Astros being division rival. They may have played in the same division for a few years, but the Astros were not. I guess they were for a couple of years, but again, it's not like you're not talking like about the Phillies and the Pirates or the Phillies and the Mets, or the Phillies and the Braves or the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Mets, or it's not.
Yeah,
It's
but I
not
like this. I like this realignment though, because you get
just for a year. Just for a year, it's okay. I
you
just
get new rivalries.
yeah, but I mean, I kind of like seeing the Yankees play the Red Sox a lot. I know the Yankees would have just mauled the Red Sox this year. It would have been
I don't
fun,
think that would have been much of a rivalry this year.
and that's good. I like seeing that because you know what? Good
Okay, so now we got the Cactus League. These are teams that base their spring training.
in Arizona.
Oh no. So you have the Northeast in the Cactus League. You have the Cubs, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, and the Oakland A's.
That sounds like an easy win for the Oakland A's.
It does. I like Arizona a lot.
They're definitely an improved team. The Arizona Diamondbacks.
I mean the Rockies. I think the Rockies are being underrated. I'd be interested to see what their win total number was.
I think it's pretty low.
It probably is pretty low.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't believe in the Rockies.
I mean, you have Story, you have Arenado.
Yeah, but they're a bad
They
team.
strike out pitchers, even though pitchers never really pan out there in Coors Field. But I think the A's are loaded.
Yeah, as I said, I think the A's are going to run away with that division.
Now, again, these are This is a hypothetical alignment that we like, and we're talking about.
We don't know. We don't know for sure. There's even going to.
We don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But I think this makes a lot of sense because you have the Arizona teams as one league, and then the Florida teams as another league. So I think it could work from like a logistics standpoint. So that's the only reason I think it's a very realistic.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, at least there'd be baseball.
Then you have the Cactus League West. Now this division is loaded, Brad.
Yeah, who's in this division?
Okay, you got the Dodgers, the Chicago White Sox, you have the Cincinnati Reds, you have the Cleveland Indians, and you have the Los Angeles Angels.
Oh, geez, the Dodgers are gonna have fun in that league, in that division.
You think? I mean, I think it's a win for the Dodgers just because the Dodgers are loaded. But I like the Reds. I like the Indians.
The Reds I think the Reds are better than the Indians right now.
I agree. I would put the Reds second in that division.
Yeah, I would too. The Indians would be third.
White Sox could be third.
I don't know. You know what? Again, you and I have had this argument about the White Sox a lot, and until Reynolds steps up and becomes a legitimate number 2 pitcher, they still don't have enough pitching. And don't forget, what's his name? Had Tommy John. Rondon had Tommy John surgery, so he's out. He's out this year. So
I just like their young guys.
Yeah, but they can hit. I mean, I give you that, but they really don't have enough pitching.
And then you have the Cactus League Northwest Division. This division is a pathetic nightmare. You have the Brewers, you have the Padres, you have the Mariners, you have the Rangers, and you have the Royals. So that division's not good at all.
Oh, I guess the Brewers are going to win that division.
I like the Padres, but it could be the Brewers.
Yeah, I got to go with the Brewers. That's just.
I mean, the Padres, they're an interesting team because they add
young players. Yeah, no, I mean
they had Tommy Pham in the offseason. They have Machado. They have Fernando Tatis Jr., who's just
and they have the veteran at first base
ball player. You have Hosmer,
who was a good leader type player.
Kirby Yates is a really good closer.
Do they have enough starting pitching? They might for that division.
They have Paddock, but I mean, look, the teams I just read off are terrible. The Brewers are okay. The Mariners are terrible. The Rangers, they don't impress me at all. I think Kluber's kind of washed up.
Yeah, unless they're looking for a bounce back year out of him. They took a shot. They're taking a shot with him. I mean, look,
which is fine. They didn't really give up anything for him.
No, I mean he's one of those guys. They're taking a gamble with him. If he has a high ceiling. I mean, you gotta definitely give him that. I mean, listen, you're looking at a guy who who when he's at the top of his game is a Cy Young caliber pitcher. So I mean, if you're Texas, you're hoping that this gamble works. If not, it's only a 1-year deal for them. So, I thought that was a good gamble for a team like them.
And then you have the Royals, who are terrible.
They're hideous, but
they're the worst. They might be the worst team. I said the Pirates earlier, but I forgot about the Royals. They suck.
Well, so do the Orioles, but
I mean, you have Merrifield and Mondesi.
Yeah, and Sal and what's his name?
Soler.
The catcher is going to be back too.
Salvador Perez. Yeah, he's
Perez,
a player.
Yeah, Salvi Perez.
I mean,
he was. I mean, before he got hurt, he was probably the best catcher in the game.
He's pretty good.
Oh, defensively, he's terrific defensively, and he can hit.
So, for playoff standpoint, I have division winners in the grapefruit as the Yankees, the Rays, and the Nationals.
I agree with you on that.
I don't. I'll have the Twins as a wild card, and I've been pounding the Phillies make the playoffs drum all off season, so I got to pick them as a wild card. So, Yankees 1, Rays 2, Nationals 3, Minnesota 4, Phillies 5.
You don't think the Astros are going to be in the playoffs?
No.
And then again, that division is pretty good. So, I mean, the Phillies get to play. Will get to beat up on the bottom two teams. So, and the Astros won't get that luxury. So, maybe that could make a big difference.
Look, Verlander's already banged up.
Yes, he is.
They lost Garrett Cole.
They still have
tremendous.
They still have Greinke. Although
they have Greinke.
He's not the great pitcher he used to be, but he's still pretty good. Their bullpen is very questionable, and we'll see how those guys react to being booed at, hissed at, and then again, the fans won't be there, so they won't.
Fans won't be there, so
yeah, they're still going to get hit a lot, though.
So then,
don't forget the other teams have not forgotten the Houston Asterisks and their cheating scandal.
No, they haven't.
By the way, we still haven't heard anything about the Red Sox. When does our boy, the commissioner, Mr. Manfred, who's maybe the dumbest commissioner we've ever had in the annals of baseball history, when is this idiot going to make a decision on what's going on with the Red Sox, or is he afraid to say anything because of the scandal and the uproar with the Houston Astros?
I think he handled the Astros thing just so poorly that I think he's just hunkered down and hoping like it blows over.
That's not going to blow over. It's not going to blow over.
I think that's what he wants. I think that's what he thinks that's what he wants to happen.
Yeah, but the fans aren't going to let him forget it. And and everybody wants to know what Boston did too. Because everybody knows Boston cheated, because if they didn't cheat, they wouldn't have fired Alex Cora. So okay. I mean, there's definitely smoke in the water there.
Oh, from everything I've read, Carlos Beltran seems to be at the heart of this. Like, what's the word I'm looking for here?
He was the catalyst.
The catalyst.
Yes.
Good word. Thank you.
No problem.
On like the logistics and how to scheme this so you don't get in trouble.
Yeah, well, again, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, Carlos Beltran worked for the Yankees in 2016.
Yeah, but he wasn't on the bench, though.
What does that matter?
Well, what matters is if he's
the GM for the Houston Astros just got suspended for a year. The poor guy will never get a job again. He wasn't on the bench.
So yeah, but he dictated to them.
That have anything to do.
See, I don't know what happened with the Yankees with him, but nobody seems to be investigating the Yankees. They're just investigating the Red Sox. And listen, the Red Sox got caught cheating with the
They
Apple
use
Watch.
those. They use the Apple Watches, and
Yeah, they got caught with the Apple Watches. I mean, that we already know they did. I don't know what else they did. I mean,
it would certainly seem that
Houston just took it so far. I
well,
mean,
Houston and
trash can.
maybe the Red Sox. We don't even know what the Red Sox did.
No, but I mean, what Houston did with the trash cans. I mean, come on.
They took sign stealing, something that I believe every team does, and just
absolutely. But they
took it into the stratosphere.
Yeah, no, they made a joke out of it, and they're going to suffer the consequences because now they have they may have won a championship, but you know what? In the eyes of baseball fans, that team has no credibility whatsoever.
Because like the Phillies, Colorado, they got in a big fight with Colorado in 2007 when they were 2007 or 2008. The Rockies thought they were stealing signs, and they got in a big fight. It was kind of a big deal, but I mean, I don't think what the Phillies did in 2007 or what the Yankees did in 2016 or whatever team you want to throw out there was even close to what the Houston Astros.
It's a guy stealing signs that's standing on second base, and guys using a center field video camera, in their dugout, and then banging on trash cans once for a fastball and twice for a curveball. I mean, that takes it to a whole new extreme. I mean, I mean that's a little.
They cheated. They cheated.
That's a little. That's just going so far above and beyond the scope of cheating. It's ridiculous. I mean, that would be, Rob, to put it into Lehman's point here. If you planted a microphone in the other team's huddle in football, the offense's huddle, if the defense somehow was able to put a microchip in somebody's helmet and they knew every play that was coming, what do you think would happen? Would that be an unfair advantage for the defense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, then it's you can't at that level. These guys, any edge these guys can get, they're gonna use it to the maximum. You can't not think that these guys, as talented and as gifted the athletes that they are, my God, if Bill Belichick knew every play that the other team's offense was going to run,
which he
may have because he was such a cheater.
I mean, it's every year with the Patriots.
I know, but if they
filmed what they weren't supposed to against the. I mean, Bengals were 1-15 against the Bengals.
Yeah, well, don't you remember when they jammed the Steelers radio that one year that they played the Steelers on that Monday night?
They jammed that. I mean,
they jammed it so that they couldn't call the plays in the helmet, and then the referees finally found out about it after the Steelers were complaining for the first half, and then they wouldn't let New England do it either in the second half. But
how about in 01? How about in 01 when they allegedly filmed the Rams walkthrough before the first Super Bowl?
They were doing it to the Bengals last year.
They did it to the Bengals last year. They did it to the Eagles in 2004, allegedly.
Well, they probably did. Didn't Eric Mangini? He was the one that spilled the. That spilled on that.
He snitched because Bill Belichick was mean to him.
Right. Well, and he was also the coach of the Jets at the time too. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's circle back on some comments here. We got some NFL stuff coming in. Ted FX XFL claimed bankruptcy, so that league is gone. Yeah, I mean that's a shame. They had some steam this go around.
Yeah, I think they would have done okay. I think that's a case where the coronavirus just did them in. It's a shame because I think that team that league could have been okay. So they were doing fine at the box office from what I heard, and I heard the ratings weren't bad either. It's just that was very unfortunate. Vince McMahon that'll be a tax write-off for him. He can afford it.
Peter Evans checks in late. Yo fam checking in late. Agree with the poll, especially after seeing Rager's tape. So Pete Evans he's a Jalen Rager guy, Justin Rager. Jalen Rager, Justin Rager?
Not sure.
Who's Rager? The TCU guy. The TCU guy. Starts with a J. Yes, birds of a feather. They're going to have Eagles beat report. I believe they're going to have Eagles beat reporter Jeff Mosher on.
Nice.
Tomorrow.
Nice.
So be sure to check that out. Hopefully I'm not stealing their thunder making that announcement too soon. But look for some special guests throughout the A2D platform in the next couple weeks as we try and get you through this Corona time. Get us back to live sports. G finished 72. I heard Baba Booey will be drafted next season.
Baba Booey. Oh, okay. Is Quick Draw going to be part of that draft too?
I'm lost on this reference.
Well, no, it's okay. You're not going to get a Looney Tunes past me. I'm in the Looney Tunes club, so sorry, guys.
I know. I see you post those Bugs Bunny cartoons all the time.
Yes, I did. I got the Easter. I got the Easter edition on.
I did. I watched it.
That was a funny.
It was good.
Yeah. 6 sense of humor.
Hey fellas, I think wide receiver should be the priority, but take best available. That's from Chrome. I can't believe they didn't sign a veteran wide receiver. At least not yet. They still can, because like you said last week, you never know who's going to shake free.
Well, don't forget, June 1st is when the roster bonuses kick in, and that's when you see a lot of guys get cut. So you could very easily get somebody then, which is why it's important to leave a little bit of cash available, at that time.
Now, did you see the Kansas City Chiefs salary cap situation?
No, I was not paying attention to that.
So they have $177 in cap space.
Okay, so they're not going to be picking up any, but they're going to have to cut somebody to sign their draft picks then.
Right. Not $177,000.
No, I get it. $177.
They have $177,
which means they're going to have to
in cap space.
That means
and they're not even paying Mahomes. Like, what the hell happened there?
Well, they're going to have to restructure some contracts. That's all. I mean, it is what it is.
I know they have that outstanding. They have that defensive tackle. They need to work out a long-term deal with Chris Jones, their star defensive tackle.
Well, the other thing is, though, don't forget they don't have to beat the Patriots anymore, so they may not have to spend as much money to win the division anymore. I mean, you look at the AFC right now. They're, now that New England is kind of done, they're not going to have to be as good to win now in that league. It's a much easier, much softer way for them to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, the AFC is clearly the weaker of the conferences.
Oh, it is. I mean, unless you think that the Ravens can find a way, which
Lamar, I'll bet you right now that Lamar Jackson wins a playoff game next year.
Yeah, I think he will, but is he going to win in Kansas City? Just asking.
I mean, I'm just like, who knows? I mean, I'm never gonna.
A lot of things can happen. Injuries happen, underperformance happens. So you don't. Really
I bet against Patrick Mahomes for the last time in the Super Bowl. I'll never do it again. I took the Niners in the Super Bowl.
I agree. I thought the Niners were going to win that game too.
I just felt like such a dumb.
Halfway through the fourth.
He's so good.
Halfway through the fourth quarter, it looked good.
You can't keep him down for 60 minutes, though.
It's pretty hard. I mean, listen, the Niners had a 10-point lead halfway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nearly enough.
And unfortunately for the Niners, the game is 60 minutes and not 48 minutes.
No, exactly. Listen, same thing happened with the Titans. The Titans played a great first quarter, and they had a 24-0 lead in the first quarter. And then they were behind.
They kicked the ball off to start the game, and all of a sudden the Texans were up 24-0.
Yeah, and then
53 unanswered points.
Yeah, and the the Chiefs ended up being ahead at halftime, 28-24. And that was after being behind 24-0 in the first quarter. You knew at that point that was going to be a slaughter. I mean, right now, the Chiefs in that league, in the AFC, are just superior.
Well, I think they're going to get pushed. I think they're going to get pushed by the Chargers next year in terms of their division.
Well, until the Chargers answer their questions about quarterback, they're going to have a hard time doing that.
They can make the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback.
They can make the playoffs, but they're not going to beat Kansas City.
No.
And that's, to give them a run. The only team that can realistically give them a run would be the Ravens and maybe the Bills. I'm very high on the Bills this year. I think the Bills are going to win their division. I think they're going to win their division pretty easily.
Well, they bring in Diggs.
They were a good team last year. They needed one more guy offensively to really make that offense hop. And I think they did that. And their defense is certainly good enough. That's for sure.
Great coach.
Yeah, they've got.
It's a great coach.
They got one hell of a defense. Their quarterback, I think, will get better because he's going to have more weapons.
All right, then. Okay, so we're going to do an A2D mock draft broadcast on Saturday at 8 p.m. That's from Tom Arnone, so that'll be fun to be a part of.
Yes, it will.
And
I would hope all the family members would be listening in.
Yes.
Since none of us are allowed to go out anymore.
Saturday at 8. Like I'm itching for stuff to do on Saturday nights at 8.
Yeah, well, being that we're all stuck in our houses now. I mean,
sucks.
But yeah, it does. But instead of watching a game that you've already seen, or watching reruns of whatever it is that's on.
I've been watching. It's supposed to be the Masters. The final round of the Masters is supposed to be yesterday.
Yeah.
All week they've been playing some of the Masters. I watched 2004 final round, 2005 final round, 2012 final round, and 2019 final round.
Okay, there you go.
So I have like these. You got to get through it in like small stretches, not look like a big, broad coronavirus.
If you put it on DVR, which is the best thing to do, you can put it on guys that you don't care about. You can speed it up and go past them, and get to the guy that you want to see and watch all his shots.
Yeah, but with old games, Brad, I'm not locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sitting there. Like, I have no problem just putting on the regular broadcast without DVR and just, I'll be on my computer. I'll be on my phone.
I agree.
It's background noise.
Yesterday when I was watching the Giant game against the Patriots,
right?
Didn't have my phone. I was watching the game. I really wanted to watch the game again, because the second time you watch it, the second time you're watching it, you're not drunk like the first time.
That was 2007.
Yeah, that was 13 years ago. So I mean,
it was 13 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago, so you tend to forget. But that was a hell of a game, I got to tell you. 7-3 going into the fourth quarter, and then Eli Manning outdueled Tom Brady. That was some game.
Yeah, and then you have the who was the guy that caught it on his helmet?
Tyree.
David Tyree.
Tyree also caught a touchdown pass in that game as well.
What a joke. What a gin. What a joke.
Well, that's what happens when you win a Super Bowl. Guys that you wouldn't expect to contribute.
I'm not saying it like it's a joke that team was so good and didn't win.
Oh, the Patriots?
Beating the Patriots.
Well, the problem with the Patriots was that they were too soft. They ran into a very physical team that pushed them around. I mean, the Giants' defense pushed that New England team around all day.
You're right.
I mean, Brady. I had never seen Brady get hit like he did in that game. He just got killed.
Jake Friel steps in. What's up, boys? Up to the poll. I disagree. I think they should take the best defensive player available with how deep this wide receiver draft is, but it also depends on how the board looks at 21. Jake, I love you, man, but I mean that's a Howie. That's comment straight from the Howie Roseman playbook.
That's probably what they're going to do.
The best. So, you know,
are they going to take the best player on the board?
Like you had a defensive draft last year, and they take offense, and now you're going to have an offensive draft this year, and you want them to take defense? I don't know. I don't know about that. There's only a select few players that I like at pick 21 that don't play receiver. Del Pitt, who I talked about. There's a defensive end out of Iowa that I like named AJ Espenza. I liked Patrick Queen for a while, but I'm not so sure about that. I think 21 is a bit of a reach for him. I don't see it. Like, I don't know. One of these offensive tackles is probably going to end up being pretty good, but I don't know which one. A Wirfs seems like the good, but like, I'm not taking any of these offensive tackles like high, like where the Giants are. Like, I wouldn't pick a tackle if I were the Giants up there.
You wouldn't pick Wirfs?
Not at 4.
A lot of rumors about him.
I know there are.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to pick an offensive lineman at 4. As I said, if they want to pick an offensive lineman, they'll trade down.
I mean, you have Becton out of Louisville, but I mean,
listen. The only way, if I'm the Giants, the only way I keep that 4 pick is if Young is available. Otherwise, forget it. Trade it, and get more. You need more than one. You need to draft more than one player, unless you can get Yannick in here. I would trade. I would trade the pick. Whether it's to trade down or whatever it is you want to do. Or use that pick for a move to get a top line or a top notch defensive player. That's what I would do.
Bob Brinkman, he's got some Looney Tunes. I guess he saw your Facebook account, Bob Brinkman. He says, "God, quick draw McGraw." He says,
"Yes, yeah." That quick draw McGraw's sidekick was Baba Louie, and Baba Booey was a Howard Stern character.
Bob says he's going to have some trivia next week. He's gonna research from NFL trivia, and he's going to ask us some questions, and we'll see if any of the family or me or you can
NFL trivia. You might get me on NFL. You won't get me on baseball trivia or hockey trivia, but you might get
Bob me. Bob. He's a veteran, like he's a grizzled veteran like you. So you might fare better than me in the trivia because he will.
That's what time period he's hitting.
Yeah, he will. Because it'll be age discrimination at its finest. Because he's going to make the questions tailored towards your age group.
Well, if he's going to hit me with the 50s, he's going to beat me. And early 60s, he's probably going to beat me. Late 60s, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean he's the same age as you.
Yeah, pretty much.
The same, Brad.
I didn't see. Listen, though,
he also thinks the Jets.
I didn't see Norm Van Brocklin lead the Eagles to a championship in 1960. I was only 2 years old then, so I didn't see that. I don't know if he did or not, but I didn't.
And then Bob also thinks the Chiefs are going to be the best team in the AFC for a while.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
I mean,
I can't disagree.
They have Mahomes, so.
Yep. But the key for the Chiefs is going to be able to maintain a defense, and they're going to have to pay Mahomes. Don't forget, and they got a lot of other guys they're going to have to pay. So, and in the league with the cap, it might not be so easy. But I think for the next couple of years, they're going to be impossible to deal with. I think they're the one team that may actually have.
The other thing about them is they're well coached. You have Andy Reid, who's a Hall of Fame coach.
Absolutely.
You have Steve Spagnuolo, who
there's no question about what a great defensive
coordinator. Pretty good defensive coordinator in Spags there.
Listen,
any best quarterback in the league
twice with 2 different teams. That you got me there, because that's really something to be able to do that.
How about Joe Gibbs? Joe Gibbs won 3 different Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks.
Did he win 3?
I think so.
2 or 3.
So he had Doug Williams, he had Theismann, and he had somebody else.
Rippon. Oh yeah, okay, yep.
And Rippon, yeah.
Yeah, none of them were really all that.
They beat Elway and the Broncos.
Yeah, and none of them were really all that good. Well, Doug Williams had an unbelievable.
Yeah, but you're right. None of them are Hall of Fame guys.
No.
None of them are blue chip.
Doug Williams may have had one of the best arms ever. I mean, that guy could throw the ball 80 yards. Not the most accurate, but boy, could he. I mean, he had one hell of an arm, and the Broncos found that out in the Super Bowl.
Bob says his trivia is going to be Super Bowl era only. He was only 7 in 1960.
Okay, well, I should be okay with that.
We'll see what Bob has the.
Okay, well, I'm ready for that. I think I should be okay with that.
All right, this week, A2D Birds of a Feather. They got Jeff Mosier on tomorrow. Check out that. Eagles Beat Reporter. We got A2D Radio mock draft Saturday, 8 p.m. I'm sure it'd be nice to mix it up with some of the other guys, talk about the different teams and how we think this draft's going to play out. As always, the Sports Hounds will be back next Monday, 7 o'clock, 7:30, whenever we decide to get it going, right here on remote location from our war rooms. But until then, I'm Rob. He's Brad. Frank did a great job producing. We'll see you next Monday.
Night, everybody.